people within the outdoor industry, whether you're a customer or whether you work in the industry, like can see through the fluff like pretty quickly. And I think if brands aren't showing up to events and showing up in like a real authentic way, people are going to dismiss them if all we focus on is our paid initiatives.
Welcome to Long Run Labs, a weekly podcast from the team behind For the Long Run podcast, telling the stories of those running the outdoor industry where endurance and entrepreneurship meet. This episode is supported by our newest partner, Halo. If you've been listening, you recently heard Hillary, Halo's founder, and Monica from Rabbit get into exactly this in our July 28th episode. Halo is a hospitality platform built by runners for the way people actually travel to races. They work with brands, event organizers, and leagues to fix one of the most operationally painful parts of any event, which is lodging. If you're a brand, Halo turns a hotel into your home base at a race, a branded clubhouse where your athletes and community actually stay together, the experiential piece done right without you managing hotel logistics from scratch. That's the Rabbit playbook. If you're an event organizer or a league, Halo houses your people, locks in better rates, and layers in real community and perks, so the lodging becomes part of the experience instead of a headache. And if you're just heading to a race yourself this year, it's worth a look too. Same platform, better rates, real community, and perks from their brand partners with a lot less hassle. If any of this sounds like you, reach out to their team and tell them you heard about Halo on Long Run Labs, or shoot me a note and I'll connect you directly. And welcome back to Long Run Labs. We have Leland here joining from Osprey. Leland, thanks so much for taking some time to chat today.
My pleasure, Jonathan. Tuning in here from not only am I from Osprey, but we're actually at Osprey HQ, as you could tell with all of these lovely backpacks behind me. I'm in our showroom right now.
They are lovely backpacks. I got one at OMS last year, which maybe we'll talk about, but you guys were giving out packs for people who did trail work. So
that was me.
I was there. That was you. You're right. Yeah, we were sharing pickaxes together.
Yep. Good times all around. I love that event.
Yeah, it was fun. Will you be headed to Asheville this year?
We unfortunately are not. It's a little bit far for us. We've got some other things going on that time of year. That week especially is our fall sales meeting. So a couple other things on the plate during OMS, but we'll be back at some point, I'm sure.
A lot easier when it's in Durango, right?
In our backyard. Yeah. It's far easier. That was extra special to have it in Durango. Really cool event. I think the train ride was a little bit long, but I think everybody enjoyed it nonetheless.
For context, there's this epic train ride between Durango and Telluride, Silverton.
Durango and Silverton, yeah.
And you go through the mountains, you climb a few thousand feet. The views are iconic and beautiful, but we did it at night in the dark.
And it got kind of cold.
Yeah, it got cold. Okay, before we dive too far into waxing poetic about fun events that we get to go to, who is Leland? Let's do a little intro.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, first and foremost, I'm a husband. I'm a brother. I'm a runner. I'm a skier. I'm a surfer. Those things are paramount to who I am. But I'm the marketing manager for us here at Osprey Packs. I've been with the company for a little over 5 years now. It's been a blast. It's been a wild ride, as I'm sure many others could say at their jobs, or who started jobs around the post-COVID era. But yeah, I've been there for 5 years. I definitely hold like a generalist role at the company. I do a little bit of everything when it comes to marketing here. Primarily oversee our athlete relationships, so our sports marketing program, the athlete program specifically, field marketing, so kind of all the consumer-facing events that we do. So I spend a good bit of time on the road, and then I oversee all of our content and social media too, with the help of a kind of external agency who do a lot of the heavy lifting, thankfully, in that arena. So kind of, a little bit of everything.
You mentioned you're a generalist. I too feel like a generalist and love the ability to touch a bunch of different things. What is it about that? And how did you land in a role like that? did you know that that's what you wanted to do, or is it kind of like purpose built for you?
Both, for sure. It's certainly what I wanted to do. I love holding a generalist role. It keeps me on my toes. I think I have a pretty broad understanding of what makes this company tick, and how we operate, which is awesome. I also kind of get to specialize in certain areas, so I do get best of both worlds. But this role was, I'd say, built for me a little bit. I started as the marketing coordinator, so I came in very, very green. A good friend of mine who is still with the company, Vince Mizuka, he was our former marketing director. Now he sits on the product team, kind of overseeing our entire technical outdoor category. He knew me from a previous life and said, "I want to hire you one day," and he did. Many years later. So
Nice.
I kind of came in as helping him out in all of those areas of marketing, and then kind of slowly transitioned into owning them. So
According to LinkedIn and your bio on there, it looks like you do a lot of both brand and performance marketing. Would you agree with that? And how does that interact with, like, how does your work interact with your work in a situation where many of these programs that you're running are coming out of different budgets on different teams, and there's tension between some of these programs in a healthy way sometimes?
Totally. I'm definitely on the brand side more than performance. We have a paid media agency that mainly does the heavy lifting with our performance marketing efforts. We let them be the pros, but in areas like marketing, or in content, I'm certainly helping fuel both of those machines. In some ways, that's a really good thing, right? Because then we can pull from multiple budgets to fund these efforts. In other ways, it's difficult because you've got a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
We've worked together on some of those content programs. So Osprey is a customer of Popfly, and so when I saw you guys show up on Popfly, I was like, oh hell yeah, I love this brand. I can't wait to apply to some of these campaigns, and I did, and I was testing out the belt, which was wonderful, and the vest, which was also wonderful. But the belt was like really great, and that's my belt that I travel with, and yeah, the pack is great too. Can you talk about the and obviously, or not obviously, but Popfly is a sponsor of this podcast. They've been a long time partner of this podcast. Marin just texted me saying they'll be continuing to sponsor this podcast and renewing if it's not obvious, because it's been so effective for them and for the brands that we've connected them to. So why do you use that platform? And again, this isn't intended to be an ad. We're talking about a tool. I talk about this tool so much because of the value that it has and because of what it enables somebody in your seat to do. So I'm curious, what does it enable you to do?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, are we under the assumption that people know what Popfly is?
I would hope, but there might be some people who are new to the show, and so in your words, do you want to explain how you're using it or what it is?
Sure. And I think we're using it in a pretty specific way. There's definitely more tools that we can tap into that we plan to. But essentially for me, Popfly is an outdoor creator network. It's this giant network of outdoor content creators who we can source and work with super easily by working through Popfly. This isn't unique to Osprey. This is probably pretty standard for most outdoor brands. But when it comes to content, especially social media, like we have all of these content streams, I call them, right? Like all of these areas in which we're gathering content from to fuel social media. Like social is definitely a platform that we need to post to frequently. And the content needs to be social first, right? It needs to be built specifically for content. One of those, content streams is UGC, so user generated content. And it's a form of content that works really well for us. When I started out Osprey, it was like, I'd say the primary and potentially only content strategy for social media. But that's mainly because it worked so well and it was super easy. Like people, we had and still do have a really large following. And these folks like to tag Osprey when they publish content that features our packs. So it was really easy for us back in the day, I'll say, just to like reach out and source this content, and we're able to use it on our channel. Obviously, like UGC over the years has grown and changed, and it's not just as easy as like, hey, can we use this this is a really cool image, like we want to use it. It's more of like a contractual thing, a little bit more formal. And one of the struggles currently with it is finding the right people, especially if we're going to be investing cash and budget into it. So Potfly essentially allows us to find these people super easily. And at first, like, there's a million of these UGC platforms, right? Like they're all around. You do a search on the internet and we get pitched from all sorts of these platforms all the time. So at first I was like, all right, like we'll check it out. We'll see how it goes. And we launched we got in contact with them first and foremost. Marn was actually kind of like targeting me at OMS to chat with, because she works with our sister company Hydroflask. So I think she was on, or I was on her radar, but I don't know if she knew that she was also on my radar to talk to. So it's kind of like a perfect storm in that regard. Anyway, long story short, we got a hold of each other. We started chatting about like, hey, we've got an opportunity to test this year in 2026. Like, I'd like to make it happen. And it was so easy. Like, we met with Taylor, who's the founder, and Ian, who's our kind of CSM and content strategist on the platform. And they were just like off the bat, so easy to work with. They just like gave us this demo. They just like walked us through everything. It made total sense. I think a lot of times you do these demos and you're like, man, we just spent an hour and talked about absolutely nothing. But it was like super easy. We got right into the platform. Getting set up was a breeze, and we launched our first campaign, which was a hiking UGC campaign specifically. So we launched it like 3 weeks later. The campaign, in terms of like, gathering the content, contracting, finding creators, contracting them, getting them product, and then getting content in return, took like 3 weeks. It took like no time at all. It was so quick, and we had this content we were ready to launch and use this content on our own channels. Not only that, back to like the first thing I was talking about, the creators were super solid. Like, these folks are true outdoors people. They loved the brand. They knew who we were. They understood our product, and it just creates or allows for super authentic content. And that's a really, really cool and important thing for me and for a brand like Osprey. So it was really cool. I could go on and on, but yeah, since then we've done a run campaign. That's how we started working together. We've done a travel campaign. We've done like 5 campaigns already, and it's awesome.
So what's the makeup of what makes a content campaign work? Like, what are you looking for as a marketing manager, and how are you prescribing, and what do you then do with that information, right? So I'm asking for the marketers out there who are listening, and maybe the founders who are listening, who are like, okay, obviously I know that UGC is important. I know that seeing people using my product is key. Like, but what does that mean?
Yeah. So when it comes to UGC, I think this is important for everybody to understand, like both content creators and brands. Like, these people don't have to be influencers, right? They don't need to be have these massive followings and this huge reach and like extremely high engagement rates. I'd say a lot of times the best creators do, just because they have really solid content. But the most important thing when it comes to UGC is like the quality of their content. Ultimately, I'm getting this content and I'm going to use it on Osprey's owned channels, whether that's our organic social media channel at Osprey Packs, right? Like, or if we're going to forward it on to our paid media agency to run ads with. And I think like, I don't need these creators. I don't need to depend on their platform or their followers unless we're doing a specific influencer campaign, which is completely separate, which I keep completely separate than UGC campaigns. So I think that's super important to remember for folks who are like either getting into or currently working on UGC campaigns.
To you, what's the difference between influencer and a UGC or creator, right? Because like that is a great point, and it is a main differentiator for people who understand what that means. But I feel like a lot of people are like, "Oh, creators and influencers, it's one and the same."
Synonymous.
I disagree. So tell me more.
I completely disagree.
And I agree with you.
I completely disagree. Yeah, they are not synonymous with one another. An influencer can't. If Osprey is launching an influencer campaign, we are going after specific people, primarily with large followings and strong engagement rates, so that we can speak directly to their audience. UGC content is content for our channels to speak to our existing audience. I think the goals in and of themselves vary because of that reason. And the criteria in terms of who we're working with changes is quite different as well. Now, are there influencers who could totally crush UGC? Hell yeah. Like absolutely. There's a ton of awesome influencers who could just build out content for us in like more of like a, we'll say like raw, authentic way. It's probably much easier for them and they just deliver it. They don't have to do anything on their own channel. Another difference is like influencer rates are way higher. We pay influencers way more than we pay UGC creators because influencers were essentially paying for their followers, paying for their reach. Whereas UGC, we're just paying for their creative and then we're doing everything else with it.
So you manage both. How did those two interact? Or do they interact?
They do interact in by way of like the type of campaign we're running. So we'll run a lot more UGC campaigns than we run influencer campaigns. But there are certain campaigns that will run a influencer and UGC for. Those are obviously like higher level seasonal priority type campaigns, whether that's supporting like a specific category or a new product launch that we're, I'd say, investing like pretty heavily in terms of marketing. So every year, like, or every season, spring and fall, like we are going to outline key campaigns, right? Seasonal campaigns that we're going to run. So they are prioritized by like A, B, and C. Something like an A priority campaign is probably going to get influencer. It's probably going to get UGC, and it's going to get everything else that we do as marketers as well, right? It's going to get a web page overhaul. We're going to have a homepage carousel for it on osprey.com. We're going to have email to support it. We're probably going to like an event to support that category, right? All of the things that we do as marketers are probably going to get touched for like an A priority campaign. So to answer your question, like, yeah, there are times when we are certainly running an influencer and a UGC campaign for the same thing.
This episode is brought to you by Popfly. If you're a brand trying to reach outdoor, travel, and adventure audiences, Popfly is where you should be running your creator program. It connects you with the largest community of adventure creators on the planet, people who actually use the gear, live the lifestyle, and have built real trust with their audiences. Popfly handles the whole operation. Affiliate links, discount codes, creator and ambassador collaborations, all in one place. No more chasing people down over email. You scale brand momentum, track what's actually working, and every mention comes from a place of credibility because the creators you're working with genuinely mean it. Go to popfly.com to check it out, and if you want to reach out to them, let them know that we sent you. If you're enjoying Long Run Labs, we'd love it if you took a moment to leave a review. It only takes a minute, but it helps the show reach more people like you. If an episode has helped you think differently about your business or career, made a long run fly by, or taught you something new, scroll down in your podcast app and tap those stars and write a review. Thank you for your support. A drum I banged on for a while is the use of influencers and creators for different stages of the funnel, and that one person cannot and should not be tasked with doing all three at once. I do think you can do two at once and you can nail one at once. Do you agree?
I agree with that, with your statement. Yeah. I think that a UGC creator is mainly going to build content like that is going to be used for us organically, which is mainly going to support upper funnel efforts, awareness efforts, right? That's like the whole goal. That said, like if we want to work with our paid media agency and they're like, hey, we want to run a lower funnel D2C campaign, we need content to support that. Like there's ways in which we can tap a UGC creator to do that. So could the same person maybe do it? Yeah, but like the content is going to look very different.
Totally.
Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
my point is like I don't think one piece of content should be tasked with doing all three stages.
No, I mean you could try. Like if you have very little budget, like
right,
go for it. Right.
But I feel it's a trap that so like I do a lot of partnerships with brands and brands that are focused on one channel in a partnership.
Yeah.
The coaching I give to them is let's focus on one thing, right? So if you want to take advantage of my network and my audience and build awareness about a product that people have never heard of, the success of that campaign should not be measured in the number of people that convert and what the ROAS of that campaign is, right? We should be measuring the metrics that are associated with each stage of the funnel. So like when you're looking at a campaign or when you're looking at these different pieces of the funnel, how are you evaluating this was successful? So like top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, what are the different KPIs that you're looking at at each stage?
Yeah, I think like lower funnel is more ROAS and revenue conversion focused, where mid and upper funnel is more, it's truly awareness and consideration. So we're looking at things like, I'm more or less looking at things like impressions and engagements, how well the content resonated with the person. I don't really care if the content made someone buy something. I wouldn't necessarily expect it to. If they did, great, but to be honest, it probably wasn't the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal was like to either introduce them or kind of further expand their knowledge around who we are, what we're making, and our product.
If a campaign has multiple channels, is there room for all three stages?
In what regard? Room for all three stages in what regard?
So like can we focus on multiple pieces of the funnel in a campaign that looks at podcast, social, newsletter, etc.?
Yeah, I think so.
What does that look like?
Like if we are going to run a campaign for, we'll say like backpacking, right? Or let's say run.
Let's say run,
yeah, let's go with the run. If we're going to run, like if we're going to do a running campaign, we could certainly do a UGC campaign as part of that greater like category campaign to introduce people to run content. We could work with like UGC creators to build out content that we're going to post, that kind of like speaks fairly high level to the content or to the product, but maybe not at all. Maybe it just like shows our product featured in while this person is like running in a beautiful area. At the same time, like we could go then turn to like our email team and be like, hey, sell some vests, and we could launch an email campaign within the greater the greater category run campaign that is fully focused on like click through and conversions. So in that regard, yes, like I do think that there's a way to interact with multiple areas of the funnel or levels of the funnel within one campaign.
What role do athletes play in all of this for you?
Yeah, our athlete program is like all around just I'd say awareness and just like community. So it's either like for folks who I'd say like why have an athlete program, right? Like I think that's probably the question you're getting at.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of like I get that question a lot, and we have an athlete program, we have an ambassador program, and we have like UGC content creator programs, right? Like, so there's athletes, there's ambassadors, there's content creators. They are not all the same thing. I think like why have an athlete program is to position us in a credible way a credible way within the categories that we're part of as a brand, right? So like if we're a running brand, we make these vests. One of the best ways that we can look credible to this audience is through working with credible sources. And those people like are typically top tier athletes who are either like winning races, performing really well, have some sort of like really strong platform, whether it's in person or digital, or like helping push the sport in some way. Like we are not a podium driven brand. Like I don't look at our athlete program and be like, we don't have incentives built into our contracts of like if you win this many races, you're going to get a bonus. We don't really do that. We've never really been that podium focused brand. We're more looking at our athletes as folks who can just represent the sport and subsequently brand in a credible way, so that our audience can, we can build trust with our audience.
I had a similar conversation with Yuri Oswald from GU, and he's athlete
Yeah, I know
manager.
Yuri.
Yeah, he's great. And so he spoke about it similarly around athletes who do interesting things. And so an athlete that I believe you've sponsored in the past, I'm not sure the current relationship, but Grayson Murphy, she is a competitive athlete and has been at the top of the world. And there's plenty of other stuff that she does that's interesting. How do you position an athlete like that? Or how do you think about one of these multifaceted athletes who you're not relying on to win races, but they also happen to be a world champion?
Yeah. Well, we don't work with Grayson anymore. Unfortunately, she did. She's with, everyone knows this now by now, she's with Solomon, which is great.
Right.
They're head to toe sponsor. That said, I love Grayson. We still chat often. But like someone like Grayson, for example, if she wanted to go crush it and fully focus on podium, on like getting on the podium, that's something we would support. If she didn't bring it up, we wouldn't really care, even though that Grayson's a world champion. What attracted us to someone like Grayson is the way in which she interacts with the community, right? Like she's always doing community-led runs. She's always doing group runs. She goes to events. She's a huge social media following. Like people love the Grayson brand. And I think that's what attracted us. She's very humble. She's very polite. Like I think all of those things like attracted us to working with someone like Grayson, not necessarily even because she's a world champion. Is that great? Like, yeah, it is. And if she wanted to continue winning races, like we would support that wholeheartedly. But I wouldn't say like, yeah, the other things I listed are probably more like what attracted us to working with someone like Grayson. And that's true for all of our athletes. Yeah, I can't stress enough, like Osprey is not the brand that is gonna just push to find folks who are standing on the podium. If they do, great, but there's more to it.
Is that company mission driven? Is that based on who the customers are? Like how does a brand decide? How do you as a brand decide that performance is important as it relates to gear, but racing is not performance in a race is not the main focus?
I think it's mission driven. I think it like speaks to very much who Osprey is as a brand and what we've always done. Like Osprey's, I think, I'm on the inside, so I'm biased, but Osprey's like a pretty humble brand. Our goal is to like, build product that to relentlessly innovate to ease your journey and inspire your adventure, right? Like, so it's not necessarily to build gear to be the best and win races. Like it is truly for everyone to like inspire and fuel adventure, whatever that may be. That could be winning races, but it could also be getting out and running around like a 5K around your lake in your suburb, if that's what your adventure is. So I think like that we just don't put that much emphasis on the top tier podium driven initiatives.
How do events play into it, both running races and then consumer events and industry events, right? You've showed up at a lot of events recently, and in the intro you said you travel a lot to these events.
Yeah.
How does that interact with the fact that podiums are not the focus?
Yeah. Um, some of the events we go to are races. Some of them are not races. Within within when it comes to consumer events at Osprey, so consumer facing uh, activations, it's all to support our outdoor category. So Osprey as a brand, think of it as like three buckets, right? There's travel, we make duffel bags, we make luggage, travel packs, we make lifestyle packs, your standard day packs, and then we have what I'd say most people think of when they think of Osprey is technical outdoor. We only go to events to support the outdoor category at this point. And essentially the strategy is right now is like these category, within the technical outdoor category, we have things like run, we have things like bike, we have things like climb and snow, and we build a calendar to support those categories so that we could show up and have, I'd say, face-to-face, real conversations with our audience, and that's incredibly important. It's something that I think brands are doing less of these days, but something that I've seen with my own eyes that really works. So it's really just to support those core categories, and interact with our audience face to face. Like the outdoor industry is interesting in that regard. Like people think of I can say this pretty confidently because I am the audience that Osprey markets to, right? Like I am I am an outdoor enthusiast. I am a skier. I am a runner. I am a rider. Like I am all of these things. And it's people within the outdoor industry, whether you're a customer or whether you work in the industry, like can see through the fluff like pretty quickly. And I think if brands aren't showing up to events and showing up in like a real authentic way, people are going to dismiss them if all we all we focus on is our paid initiatives.
What does authenticity mean? How do you show up authentically?
I think like if a way to authentically show up is to like not just not just to walk the walk, right? Not just talk the talk. And I think that comes to the surface when we show up in person to something like an event, or when we sponsor professional athletes. I think those are like authentic ways to market your brand, that are a little bit more meaningful than just pulling levers.
We've been talking about the different categories. I did a podcast with Michael Ruckert of Centium AI, and we looked at 2,200 prompts in 20 different categories of products and brands in the outdoor space. We didn't name a single brand in the research. We just looked at the categories, and it developed lists of the top 15 brands that are referenced in each category. So the ones that are relevant to Osprey: hydration vests and packs and water bottles and soft flasks. One of the takeaways from the study that we did was that winning one category doesn't mean you win another by default. So that means if you're a brand that makes trail running shoes and road running shoes, being great at road running doesn't give you domain authority in trail, and vice versa. So what's interesting is hydration vests and packs, Osprey is showing up number 6, and water bottles and soft flasks number 5. So it shows up 46% of the time and 37% of the time in the answers of when a person is typing into ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, give me your recommendations for hydration vests or packs. How do you think about all of the different SKUs and products and categories that you have, and doing them all a service, or the ones that get the focus? Like how do you as a brand think about that prioritization and the overlap that may or may not exist in these categories?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, and it's an extremely difficult task that we deal with, I'd say, like daily, every single season for sure. Osprey has the luxury of working or just doing backpacks, right? But like you said, there are all of these different categories. that require attention in very different ways. We depend on our go-to-market process quite a bit to help us prioritize what the categories and products that we want to focus on are going to be. We develop that throughout that process. It's hard. I think sometimes, there are categories that truly don't get the recognition they deserve. Like run is one of them, right? Like this year was a huge focus for run. We had a brand new product. We were super excited about it. It's taken years to develop, like with our athlete team. So we really wanted to stand on the mountaintop and yell out loud. And I think we did. We definitely put together like a pretty concerted effort around run. Thanks to working with folks like you, frankly. But I can't say that like next year run is going to be a focus. Probably won't be. Yeah, I know it won't be. So it's hard to when you have this many categories, there's a ton of different factors that lead us to decide what we're going to focus on. That we rely on the go-to-market process for that in terms of what products and categories to focus on. But it's really hard. I don't know how brands that do footwear and apparel and packs and hard goods, I don't know how they remain relevant in all of those categories. It's super tough. And I think the answer is it just takes a while. It just takes a long time.
Quick one before we get back into it. If you're going to be in Chamonix for UTMB week, I'm hosting a live panel called Tech in Running on Wednesday at Race Week. We're getting into the stuff I love talking about: data, AI, wearables, and where the human still beats the algorithm. It's brought to you by the team at Training Peaks. If you want in, just email me at john@forthelong.run and I'll send you everything you need to know. That's john@forthelong.run. Come say hi. If you as a brand were to focus on that, it would require additional manpower and butts and seats to execute.
We'd have to segment our
situation. Yeah. What role does PR play in helping make it all possible?
Yeah. So the amazing thing about PR is that we have the same agency for PR and social. So it's really nice to be able to work with the same team. I'd say on those initiatives, the pipeline is always open in terms of what we're going after and who we're pitching. So I think PR is a great way. We pretty much use it as a tool to pitch upcoming products. Other than that, we don't do a ton of PR work, and I wish we did more. But again, it's just like one of those bandwidth and manpower type situations. It's primarily around new products.
I've kind of sensed the resurgence of PR. A lot of the discovery that we learned with the that AI study is the resurgence of the things that PR creates, or the assets that are created from PR really is helping to feed the sentiment analysis of a product or a service. Mm-hmm. And so it's like what's old is new again. I was talking to Gordon, the founder of Outside PR, and he's like, great, I just had to stick around for 20 years and my work is relevant again.
Yeah. Were you at OMA last week? Were you there?
Yeah.
Nice. You should have came and said what's up. It was great.
I must have missed you. I swung by. I didn't see you, but we were out to lunch break.
It was talk about a busy couple of days, but talk about the strength of PR right there, right? Like if something like OMA can exist, it's so
for those who aren't familiar, OMA is basically a marketplace where brands show up and they're they have a permanent presence, and then journalists and writers and people like me come through and take 20-minute meetings. I had 23 meetings over that period. And so you're showing up for 30, 40 meetings sometimes to just learn about product.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's a media pitching event for us. Like we had 20 between 25 and 30 appointments in like a day and a half. So it's like a lot of, if you look at those as meetings, which they very much are, like that's a lot of meetings in a day and a half. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Outdoor Market Alliance is, it's, yeah, like you said, it's this coalition of sales and marketing agencies who set up permanent showrooms. Our Rocky Mountain rep agency, Mount Seth, works out of OMA, and they have the showroom set up all year round. And then when they do these media events in the summer and fall, we can just roll in there and just like pitch our faces off to as many people as we can. And it's really just around, yeah, the new product for the upcoming season. And then all the earned media that we get from that is like incredibly beneficial, especially the long lead stuff that like folks are seeing spring 27 stuff right now and potentially either doing like sneak peek previews or doing, you're going to focus on more of a longer lead type article with them for when we do launch it in spring 27. So it's incredibly beneficial. And in terms of PR, yeah, like there's yeah, it's that event in and of itself is so beneficial to us and so easy. It really fills a void where, like what we benefited from trade shows like Outdoor Retailer that we don't really get anymore. Like we kind of get it back a little bit with these sorts of media events.
This one is fascinating to me. I wrote a piece last year after attending, and it was interesting because, like, I'm not a journalist. I don't
Mhm.
write or report on product. I've done shoe reviews in the past, and I would sit down and people would say, "So what are you writing about?" And or just talk at me for, 15 minutes with tech specs and the type of foam in a
Yeah,
shoe and the thing. And so I'm from where I sit, I understand the value of a journalist showing up to a booth and learning about what's coming and
yeah,
then being able to write about it. What sort of like diligence is done on the brand and PR side where you're like making sure you're talking to the right people and then like putting it in, like I had a meeting with Lecky, the
yeah,
company that makes poles, and they
totally.
they showed me that they had this like printout and they're like number 1, 2, and 3 performance at all of these races was done with our poles versus competitors. And so I said to the guy, I was like, I don't I don't normally use polls. I am not a techie. Like you don't need to talk tech and
Yeah,
details with me. I want to know why your polls are on the podiums, and I want to know if I can check them, if I can carry them on a flight to Europe, and like how to use the thing.
yeah.
And he was like, great, that's like way more interesting to me than the other conversations I've had. So like talk to me about how brands are getting trade shows wrong, and how should brands think about an event like that where you have dozens of people showing up to you for a variety of different reasons.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of due diligence on the brands to do their homework beforehand. Like I said, we work with our PR agency on that super closely. The really cool thing about an event like OMA Media Show is that we know exactly who we're talking to. Beforehand. So it is, we pretty much have all of our appointments set up to a week prior. Whereas at trade shows, like, half the appointments are going to be scheduled, half of them are going to be people walking up to the booth and like, you need to be ready for whatever they're going to ask you. So you can't really prepare. Uh, but yeah, there's a ton of diligence, yeah, there's a ton of accountability on the brand side to make sure that they do their homework. And we essentially will have this list of, journalists, editors, whoever is podcasters, like whoever is coming by. And then we do our research, we figure out what they're working on, so that then when they come in, we can ask them again, like, is this what you want to talk about? Like, what do you want to focus on? And we get into the details. So I'd say I start every single conversation at OMA Media Show of like, what do you want to see? Like, what are you doing? But I think that's pretty important. Because you don't necessarily like you didn't necessarily want to know about the technical features. You just wanted to know like high level what makes
Totally.
Lucky the best, right? So
Switching gears, back to media and content. How do you think about short form versus long form content? Right, we're seeing
yeah,
a lot of we're seeing a lot of long form content lately.
yeah, I'd say we are short form. I'd say like took center stage, and we're still focusing quite a bit on short form content, just because it performs better. I think there's like you talked about, like, what does it mean to be authentic? Like, I think there's a ton of room for long form content, to kind of check those types of boxes, to help tell a specific story in a more meaningful way. I think there's a lot of room for it. Yeah, it's tough though. You can't really. It's not as measurable. When you can measure it, the metrics typically aren't as strong. And something like, well, say like a YouTube video, like say you're going to do a 20, 30 minute like longer form documentary or video, like that's going to cost you so much money. So it definitely is like, yeah, it needs to be done carefully, but there's going to be a resurgence of it. I do think, as people like seek real and authentic content, and expect that from the brands. So yeah, I think there will be a resurgence, and if there is and it starts performing well, like, well, then guess what? Like, every single brand is going to follow suit. So that's like the outdoor industry, like one brand. We're just waiting for the one brand to do something, and it's what people do. It's like, for better or for worse.
Yeah, a lot of followers.
Yeah, there's a ton of followers in this industry.
Trailcon was an interesting experience in that there were
Were you
a lot
there?
of conversations. Yeah, it was awesome.
Sick. Yeah, yeah.
There were a lot of conversations about the growth of trail. And so I want to ask you a question before I go further down this path. Why did Osprey decide to focus on run this year?
Well, we've been in run for a long time. I think like we've had the Duro and Dyna hydration vests, for over, what is it, 2026, over 10 years, and maybe closer to 15. So we've had this run franchise for many years. I think like it was time to give our run vest a facelift. The product team certainly did their research and, wanted to build a killer product, and the product pipeline allowed us to do it in 26. So it was really a product discussion as to, hey, this is coming down the pipeline, in terms of like timing. But yeah, I think that answers the question, right? Like, it's a product thing. Like, I think we had a cool opportunity. The product needed a facelift. We not only redesigned Duro and Dyna, but then we added this Pro Series, to the run assortment as well.
Did some of it come from the tailwinds of trail is explosive right now?
I think that was a little bit serendipitous, like trail running. Like, our product pipeline is really long. We'd been working on these vests for over 3 years, 4 years maybe. So like, trail running was certainly seeing growth, at that time. I mean, 4 years ago, that was like a little bit after COVID, but everything was seeing massive growth at that time. Every outdoor category was seeing massive growth. And then, so I think it was a little bit serendipitous that like we launched these packs right in 2026, when trail running is and continues to grow rapidly. That was a little bit of luck on our part. But we certainly, like, once we started seeing the growth of trail running, I think the entire company put a really big priority on getting these things completed and launched, so that we can ride this wave, a little bit, for sure. I only hope that it continues to grow. I think it will. Trail, it's such an exciting time for trail running. Like, I know you think that. There's a lot of people who think and believe that to be true. And yeah, I'm excited to see what comes of it. Like there's so much opportunity when you look at it compared to like, I don't know, the Tour de France is on right now, right? Like we don't have that. Like I think running could have events like that. The biggest thing we have is UTMB, and it could really blow up, and that's exciting for me as a runner. As I sit here like super sweaty from my lunch run that I just got up, but like also as someone who works for a brand who is part of part of that industry.
How do we protect that growth so it's not growth at all costs and it's growth at the right costs?
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good question. I think for Osprey, like what Osprey can do, is just continue to make a killer product. Like make sure that we don't cut corners. Make sure that we work with, the best of the best, which are going to be our athletes, when we develop these products and make sure that when we bring them to market, they're the best that they can absolutely be, so that people can get out there and enjoy this sport.
Love it. Maybe one other question that's a pretty hard pivot, but is probably relevant in more ways than I can imagine. Your LinkedIn has a line that I love for your Steamworks Brewing Company role, where you were there from 2014, beginning in 2014, as a server. You said, "Learn more here than at any other job I'll ever have. If you disagree with this, you've never worked in a restaurant." Just yesterday said that I think everyone should work a service job before they're allowed to work any other job.
Yeah.
How has what you learned there applied to your role in the outdoor industry?
Oh man, I'm so glad I'm getting to talk about my bartending and serving job at Steamworks Brewing Company, which is a place I still frequent often, on a outdoor industry podcast. But so just wanted to say that. But man, what did I learn from working at a restaurant? I learned so much. I went to college 4 years. I got a bachelor's of science degree. It was amazing. And I learned a ton. There's so many things that I didn't know though. And when I went to a restaurant, you learn people skills and social skills that like you truly can't learn anywhere else. Like you learn how to be flexible. You learn how to roll with the punches. You learn how to, like multitask on a level that you truly can't experience anywhere else. So gosh, there's so many things. Like I always say, when I was working at a restaurant, like if this restaurant particularly is a very, busy brew pub, the clientele could get like pretty icky sometimes. But like if I walked in there and I was like talking to them and they were like, I have purple hair, and like they didn't, right? And I'd be like, no, you don't. Like you have blonde hair. And they'd be like, no, I don't. Like I have purple hair. I just have to be like, okay, you do. Like you're right, right? And just like accept that they are lying straight to my face and move on, and like have a really like civil experience with them throughout the next hour or two, so that like they can leave a happy customer, and hopefully tip me well, right? Like so, like if you take that like level of like okay, and just accepting things for what they are, whether they're right or not, like I think it's going to teach you a way to be flexible and adaptable in a way that is so beneficial in any industry. And I certainly have like carry that into what I do every day. I experience like coworkers say like the craziest things to me sometimes, and I just have to be like, all right, like you can't argue about everything, or else you'll just go mad. So we need another podcast to talk about that one.
Hey, over a couple of beers.
Yeah, let's do it in person, live.
Yeah. That's better not as a virtual.
Yeah.
Leland, is there anything else you wanted to chat through and share with the audience? Any other pearls of wisdom to impart?
Thanks for having me. This has been super fun. I hope that we can chat again soon. About something else. But like to your audience, if I'm sure most of you listening are aware of Osprey, but if you've for some reason haven't checked out our packs, go check them out. I think we're super proud of the new Duro Dyna Pro Series, and kind of what we did, working super closely with our athletes throughout the entire development process. So yeah, have a look at them. You don't need to buy it, but just have a look, check it out. Know that we're pretty proud of it.
Awesome. Leland, this has been a blast. Appreciate you taking the time to chat, and see you out there soon.
Thanks, man. Talk soon.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Long Run Labs. If you like this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's building something of their own. We'll be back next Tuesday with more stories at the intersection of endurance and entrepreneurship from the people shaping the outdoor industry in ways big and small. Until then, keep showing up, keep asking questions, and we'll see you out there.